What is going on, guys? It's your boy Dyllan and welcome back to another Destiny 2 build guide. Today I have one for all you warlocks out there. So this is my main Dawnblade build. This is the Dawnblade build that I go to for PVE and PVP, and I like to call it the Everlasting Phoenix, which is a play off with words off of two of their perks within the skill tree we're going to be using. So like I said, this is usable in PVE and PvP. There are a couple of things we do change up, obviously depending on what we are playing, but without further ado, we're just going to get straight into it. So, first things first, let's dive into the subclass, which perks and nodes we're going to be using. So, grenades. Now this is an interesting one. So, solar grenades, we are going to be using those for PvE, which is strikes, raids, public events, all that sort of stuff. Firebolts we are going to be using for PvP, which is obviously, quick play, competitive, trials, all of that. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be going with solar grenade. The rifts, we are using an empowering rift for PvE, and then a healing rift for PvP. And the reason why we changed that up is because obviously in PvE, you like the extra damage from the empowering rift for you and your team. In PvP, you don't need the extra damage, it's just better off going with the healing. It comes much more, it's a lot more helpful than a little bit of extra damage, so that's why we change up depending on what we play there. Finally, for the jump, I like to use Burst Glide. Personal preference, to be honest. If you like any of the other jumps, please feel free. Strafe Glide is also a pretty decent jump as well. If you're not too comfortable with the Warlock jump, if you like to sort of like turn a little bit easier in midair and glide to a certain direction, then Strafe Glide might be a little bit more comfortable. But for this skill tree, what we're going to be using is the Attunement of Flame. Now the top skill tree is very popular for a lot of beginners on Dawnblade. Now the reason for that is because it's very easy to close the distance, because you have Icarus Dash that you can use to obviously close the gap in between you and other players. Now the bottom skill tree is a lot better for advanced players of Dawnblade. So do bear that in mind, okay? So first up, we've got Igniting Touch, which is strike an enemy with this melee ability to burn them and cause them to explode, obviously if you get the kill, which is a pretty decent melee ability, mainly for PvE, not too great in PvP, but overall, it's not too bad, it's nice to have. Next, we have Phoenix Dive, which is activate while midair to quickly descend and restore your health. While Daybreak is active, descend causes explosive damage, which we will show you those two things in action right now. So if I was to jump, I can hold down my crouch button and then I will descend, and obviously the higher up you are as well, like say if I was to do it from this height, straight away, I'll regen less health. The higher up you are in the air and the further you drop down, the more health you regen. Basically is how it works, if that makes any sense. The one with the Dawnblade, again, the explosive damage is just basically the same thing, but again, you do like a little AoE blast whilst you're actually in your super as well, and just throw one of those over there just for the sake of it. Next, we have the Everlasting Fire, which is killing an enemy with the Daybreak extends its duration, which is really good in both PvE and PvP. Obviously it's mainly a PvE bonus, but if you can actually go off and get multiple kills in PvP, it does extend it by quite a chunk. And finally, last but not least, we've got Fated of the Flame. Daybreak projectiles seek targets as they travel, and upon impact they launch a streak of deadly flames, which this I can best compare it to a thermite grenade on the Titan. So when your Dawnblade lands on the, when it impacts the floor, for example, it's going to let out a little thermite grenade blast about half the length of that. So overall, pretty decent. Next, we'll get into the actual armor that you're going to be using with mods within the armor pieces, the exotic, all that sort of stuff, and reasons as to why I use certain things. So in my helmet, I use a grenade recharge mod for the solo subclass. In the gauntlets, I have an improved reload speed to a kinetic weapon. In the chest piece, I have a solo melee ability recharge mod for the solo subclass. In the boots, I have a grenade recharge mod for the solo subclass, and in the bond, I have a class ability recharge for the solo subclass. So that's what mods I use. If you want to spin it off a little bit differently, that is more than fine, but obviously if you want to use exactly what I am, then there you go. I also have 3 mobility, 3 resilience, and 7 recovery. Now the exotic armor piece, what we are actually going to be using is the sun braces. Now these are actually a personal favourite of mine for a couple of reasons. Now, it increases the duration of your solo grenade and grants grenade energy on solo melee hits. So the idea of the build is obviously you're going to be trying to use your melee when you obviously have a full melee charge, so you can get a little bit of grenade energy on your cooldown. Excuse me. And the actual solar flare lasting longer is definitely noticeable. It's I'd say pretty much double the length, okay? The next perk that they actually have on these gauntlets, which is a hidden perk that a lot of people don't know about, is increased grenade throw distance. Which, as you can see, is pretty damn crazy. You can throw your grenade pretty much across the map and be fine. So that's the main reason as to why I like using this exotic over others. It's really good in PvP. Again, obviously if you're using this exotic armor piece with the firebolts, you can throw your firebolts very far and catch people off guard and get free kills. Anyway, I'm going to be jumping into some gameplay now, and hopefully you enjoy the build.
Like a line of thralls, 2 down.
Many elements of your first visit have been recreated. Only the algorithm is missing. Fight as if your life depends on it, because it does.
You say that like this isn't your fault.
It won't happen again.
Yes, it will.